Imagine a ceiling full of little hanging metal birds, enmeshed in circuits, tweeting like little robot cardinals. Sound like sci-fi? Sounds more like another sound symposium installation. This time, it's Surrogate to Natural Harmony, a work that combines the efforts and savvy of a techno-nerd and an artist, both from Estonia. Earlier today, Katie Nicholson dropped by the Christina Parker Gallery to speak with the technical wizard himself, Sulo Kallas.
Okay, so Sulo, can you walk me through this? What are we looking at here, and what are we hearing?
Basically, we can look at it from two different angles, from a technical standpoint and from the concept standpoint.
Okay.
From technical standpoint, of course, I tend to start from the technical standpoint because I am more of an engineering brain behind it.
And these are very engineered little birds I'm seeing hanging from the ceiling here in the Christina Parker Gallery.
Definitely they are. They are something, the fact that they are so engineered looking is that Ivika wanted them to be that way. At first I thought that it would be nicer if they were more bird-like. You could find in an analog synthesizer wired pretty wildly together so that they would make crazy sounds.
Okay. And so we see these little diodes sticking out in the wires, and I guess, so what happens? I guess the idea is as the light changes, the sounds change? Is that?
The first idea is that they are powered by solar power. So because the light changes during the day, then the amount of power the circuit gets changes, and because the circuit isn't built so that it would behave in a predictable manner. Instead, they are built so that they are mostly unpredictable things, and when you change the light, then the sound they make change also quite unpredictably. You can change the light putting hand in front of the bird, for example. We always put some birds so that they get more of the artificial light, and some birds so that they get more of the natural light. So that when it gets dark outside or the cloud is in front of the sun, then it's the artificial lighting that gives most of the power. And when it's sun's shiny outside, then it's more of those ones that are turned towards the sun that gets more of the power. But when you put a hand in front of them,
it's almost like you're jamming your signal.
Now it started a wholly different kind of jamming after I put my hand in front of it. Mm-hmm. So whenever you change something, then you don't really know what will happen. So in that sense, they are not the kind of modern digital or something like that devices that you definitely know what they will do. Technically, they are close to fractals, if people know what fractal is, or non-linear feedback systems. So they really work on the edge of unpredictability, and it just happened to be that the circuit that was wired up that way, that they sounded like birds. So it was the circuit came first, and then the bird image came later.
So what kind of sounds have you noticed as the day changes here in the gallery? What happens when the sun comes up, when the sun goes down?
They get more ferocious when there's more light outside. That's the first thing that I would say. When it's really a lot of sunshine outside, then some of them get quite boring. They will more like whistle only. But that's the reason why we have only we have many birds turned towards artificial lighting also, so that light wouldn't change really not too radically during the time when people can come to see the installation.
So at night it must be the same thing as if you're putting a blanket over a bird's cage. Does it have the same effect?
But basically when you turn off the lights, then they are totally silent, and nothing is happening anymore.
Mm-hmm. So why birds? Why this installation?
From my technical perspective, they are birds because that circuit sounded surprisingly bird-like, especially when there are 10 of them around that are all built slightly differently. So the sound field that comes together from these 10 birds, it really, I would liken it to what I hear in a forest or marshland when there are lots of birds around. So that was the basic premise for why birds. we really played around with the circuit so long that it would sound as natural as possible. I mean, whatever sound of nature would come out would have been great, but they just happened to be the bird-like sounds that came out.
So what have people said about this installation?
I would say quite childlike playfulness comes through when people walk around them, and the reaction was actually very energetic and positive, much more so than I would have guessed before. People have looked and played around a little bit. Basically, most people went, wow.
Thank you very much for this.
You're welcome.
And that was Katie Nicholson speaking with Sulo Kallas. He designed Surrogate To Natural Harmony with his fellow Estonian artist Ivika Kivi.